Seems fair to me.
Yes, it did.
Well, if you don't know what fair is, you can't make it.
Sounds like any reason.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Whoa, chilly day in St. Louis. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Donnybrook. It's going to be a lot warmer, we hope, in May when we have Donny Bash, our big fundraiser in front of a live audience. And we're going to invite you to join us before this hour is over. So I hope you stay tuned and make sure you contribute to 9PBS. Hey, let's meet the panelists before we get into this week's topic. Starting with Wendy Wiese, the media veteran. Jason Rosenbaum, sitting in for the vacationing Bill McClellan, who's taken the week off. Jason's with St. Louis Public Radio. There's Sarah Fenske joining us from St. Louis Magazine, and Alvin Reid from the St. Louis American. Well, Wendy, I thought it was kind of a surprising week when it was announced that the head of the big business organization, Greater St. Louis, Inc., had decided to leave town. Jason Hall had been at the top of the organization, and he was quoted in the news almost as much, I think, as a lot of elected officials. He was also the guy who was like the top cheerleader for St. Louis, trying to expand the population and promote economic growth. And he was also trying to stem the brain drain. Is it kind of weird for a region when that kind of guy moves out of town?
I don't think it's that unusual, but I think that anybody who believes that this doesn't have anything to do with his recent kerfluffle or power struggle with Megan Green and the Board of Aldermen and his plans for the Rams money, I think that's a little short-sighted. I think that this had been brewing for a while. I think I said 2 weeks ago tonight that he's a man with a plan, and I don't know if his plan at the time was to leave St. Louis. He has been effective. I think there are very different camps on exactly how effective he has been, but I think in terms of the whole, setting us up as a, not so much the brewery era, but the geospatial era, I think he has been effective. What was interesting, though, was all of the statements from other bold-faced names in the news. It was 5 stars, Jason Hall, highly recommended experience. I wish him well, but I think this had something to do with maybe stepping on toes.
Well, I just think that, people take other jobs in other
every
regions,
day,
and that's how I look at that. You look at the opportunity, and you look at what you're going to be paid, and sometimes you just decide that I'm going to go for this opportunity. That's what's best for my future. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys at St. Louis Public Radio or Business Journal, I had no idea all of these conflicts were going on in the office, that there were some questions about managerial style and all that. I had no idea until I read that. I think that could have played a part in it also. I think he did a great job for what he was being asked to do. Like Ray, who was on the show, I had some questions about the whole Greater St. Louis Inc. thing, yeah, from the jump. And all of those questions about it haven't been answered. But I think he did a good job, and just on to the next job. That's all I say.
I think proof of what a good job he did is the fact that he's this bold-faced name where we all feel kind of like shocked when he's leaving.
Right.
Before he helped create this organization to speak with one voice on behalf of the business community, they weren't necessarily at the table and part of the conversation in the same kind of dominant way that he put them at the table and into that conversation. And I think, a lot of progressives have been kind of annoyed about that. Like, who is Greater St. Louis Inc. to try to tell the city of St. Louis how to spend their money? But because Jason was such an energetic presence and was so good at working the various rooms that he was in, he got into those rooms and he changed the conversation. So I think we're really going to miss his energy. I think, some part of what made him somewhat controversial is he didn't mind butting heads with people. He was a real go-getter and tried to get things done. St. Louis doesn't always keep people who have that level of energy. And I think it's a shame. I think we're going to miss it.
Yeah, and I don't know Jason that well, but I do remember when he worked in the state governmental arena. I believe he almost became the economic development department czar, and his,
for Jay Nixon.
Yeah, and that got blocked, and then he decided he had a higher threshold for pain and wanted to be part of St. Louis politics. I think, like, I mean, they're both pretty. I mean, they're both pretty painful in their own ways. But like, I think that like anybody who replaces Jason Hall is going to have a really monumental challenge, just because the region's so fragmented. There's so much internal competition for businesses. Like, not only do St. Louis and St. Louis County often compete with each other for large jobs, but then you have the looming presence of St. Charles, which is now, I think, has significantly more people than the city of St. Louis, and is trying to become kind of its separate economic development powerhouse in the region. So I don't know if his replacement is really going to be able to stop a lot of those things, because a lot of those things have nothing to do with like persuasion or even governmental policy. It just has to do with the reality of how the region is spread out.
It's almost impossible. You're right, because you got 3 strong counties, you got another state, and then even within the city, the power is dispersed so much. No one person really has it. So as the head of Greater St. Louis Inc., you got to go around and keep shaking hands and having conversations. It's almost like on the Ed Sullivan Show when that guy was running around keeping the plates up on the stilts or whatever it was. But I think Alvin hit the point that might have been the reason. According to the St. Louis Business Journal, his management style was questioned, and so the board of Greater St. Louis Inc. made him go through some management training. I think that's pretty insulting to the head of an organization like that. I've never heard of that.
I think it's somewhat insulting, but what I am hearing from behind the scenes is that was not the reason. It was an interesting scoop that they had in the middle of their story. But, you know, from the minute that he helped set up these organizations that brought 5 organizations together, there was a lot of people that they wanted to get rid of and did get rid of. And there was always a lot of kerfuffles going on where you'd hear, oh, so-and-so's been pushed out. That's part of what he set out to do, and kind of his great accomplishment.
Okay. Isn't it the ultimate irony, though, Sarah, you know, when you brought up the progressives, that the progressives are the ones who are trying to get rid of us dinosaurs, and yet they're the ones who are now moving comfortably into the role of the dinosaurs.
Well, maybe that's all
and
of us,
protecting
though.
their own turf.
Hey,
that's generational.
I was a young, like I say, young Turk coming into newspapers, and then suddenly I was the editor and all them wild ideas.
It's like, this is young Turk.
Here's what we're going to do. On Donnybrook Last Call, which you can find on the 9 PBS YouTube channel, we're going to talk about who should replace Jason Hall as the head of Greater St. Louis Inc. Well, the question is, should there be a replacement at the IRS? Donald Trump, the president-elect, thinks so, Jason Rosenbaum. Right now, David Werfel's there. He was appointed in 2017 by President Biden. Since 1998, it's been expected that the IRS commissioner would be apolitical and serve 5 years. But it looks like the president-elect wants to appoint a Missourian, Billy Long, the former congressman, to that post, who was an auctioneer by trade. Is that the skill needed to be the next commissioner of the IRS?
Well, everybody who tweeted about this pointed out that he auctioned off Laura Loomer's phone, which was amazing. And I think that probably makes him very qualified to run the IRS. In all seriousness, I got to know Billy Long when he ran for the U.S. Senate in 2022. He clearly has this folksy shtick that makes him look like a stupid buffoon, but it's purposeful. I've talked to a lot of people, even Democrats, who say he's actually very sharp. He was in Congress for I think over a decade, so he knows kind of the oversight structure there. I mean, is he insanely qualified for this post? I mean, is he less qualified than the guy he appointed for defense secretary, who was a Fox News host?
Well, that's
I would make the argument that because he's a former member of Congress, like, I think he's probably one of the better choices. And I understand, like, I find him funny and entertaining, and maybe I have a bias there, but I don't actually think it's as bad of a pick as people are saying.
I've got nothing against Billy Long. I often find his shtick equally charming. But beyond the point that Charlie raised, that this commissioner is supposed to serve out his time, this is not supposed to be something where a new president sweeps in and puts his guy in charge of the IRS and they go after their enemies, which Trump seems to be signaling he wants to do. You know, Billy Long has this history history of the Humane Society came into Missouri and passed this law that was supposed to crack down on puppy mills, and it ended up being approved by the voters. Billy Long co-signs this letter to the IRS saying, take away their tax-exempt status. It's like, is Trump interested in him because he is willing to go after Trump's enemies? It makes me a little nervous.
President Obama, and I'm sure that there were others even before President Obama, but he also weaponized the IRS. So
and
this
it's terrible. Yeah, we can't have that.
It is terrible, but this I don't think it's anything new.
What, against who? Larry Connors?
No, Larry Connors.
Alvin.
No, your political
Wait, that's what he
enemies.
said.
Your political enemies.
Okay, look, whatever norms we have in the United States government are now all off. Get some popcorn, watch the show. That's it.
Stay home.
Billy Long, I'm with you. He ain't no worse than these other folks that are protecting our nation.
I think he's better than RFK Jr., who we could talk for hours about his problem.
All right, but he's not a Missourian, so we won't. But what we will do is talk about you joining us in May for the next Donnie Bash. It's our big fundraiser. Here are the details.
Hey everyone, I'm Martia Crowder, your Member and Viewer Experience Manager here at 9 PBS. That's right, and we are so thrilled to have you here for another episode of Donnybrook, your very favorite show, I'm assuming, right? I mean, I love it. But like I said, we're so glad you're here, and I am thrilled to invite you to two things. Number one, becoming a member. That's right. If you're on the fence, and you're thinking, oh, I've always thought about becoming a member. It sounds pretty cool. You guessed right. So I want to invite you to come on down right now and join us and become a member, and I'll tell you a couple of different ways of how to become a member and what you'll get in that. But then my second thing is to Donnie Bash. That's right, on May 8th of 2025, if you become a member right now, you can be invited and attend Donnie Bash live. So every conversation that you've seen on Donnybrook, tonight's conversation, imagine that live at the Sheldon Concert Hall. So at the $95 level, that's right, you will get a ticket to Donnie Bash on May 8th. The Sheldon Concert Hall is my very favorite place. I love that concert hall here in St. Louis. But at the $15 a month level, you will receive a combo of 2 tickets and that beautiful 9 PBS mug. 70 years, that's our birthday mug, and that's our way of saying thank you so much. But you know what? If you're like, I love that so much, but I really want that mug, you can get that mug. That's right, you can get that mug at $75 too. So we've got 3 different ways that you can become a member. And so give us a call at 800-568-9099 or text us, text give at that number. You know what though? Like I said, Donnie Bash is my absolute favorite thing here in St. Louis. We've heard from St. Louisans all over that absolutely adore this, and you get to see, that's right, the Donnybrookers live. And we just got hot off the presses breaking news. 6 Donnybrookers are going to be at that table. That's right, 6 Donnybrookers. So, if you have a favorite personality, all of them will be there. So give us a call or text to give at 800-568-9099. But right now, we are going to go over to my friend Yale Hollander and a couple of other very friendly faces.
We are here in the Donnybrook studio with 3/5 of our Donnybrook panel tonight to talk about Donnie Bash coming up May the 8th, 2025. Makes a great stocking stuffer, probably the second best stocking stuffer besides a foot. Let's be honest, with the holidays coming up, you've got Christmas, you've got Hanukkah, you've got Kwanzaa, you've got Toyotathon, Lobster Fest. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, always a great gift to have a ticket to Donnie Bash at the wonderful Sheldon Auditorium. It is a public media holiday, I think is a fair way to put it. It's a public media holiday, and we're here with the public media, with Alvin and Charlie and Wendy, who will all be there. And I guess we'll let the cat out of the bag, or the cat out of the stocking. This table is going to be very full at Donnie Bash, because this year, for the first time ever, there are going to be 6 Donnybrookers at the table. The 3 individuals that are assembled here, and we'll also have, of course, Bill McClellan and Sarah Fenske and Joe Holloman. So it's going to be a huge event. And, you know, speaking of huge events, as Donnie Bash is, I mean, it really is an incredible evening. And you have twice the Donnybrook that you would get on an ordinary Thursday night. It's an hour-long show. How do you all prepare for something like that? Because not only is it twice the length, but it's also live. So what goes into the preparation?
Honestly, I don't think we prepare much differently. You know, often we're the beneficiaries of the local news. And we've always had a great cast of characters in local government who've helped us put this program on since 1987, generating stories week in and week out. So that's the one thing that's not a problem, finding something to talk about. But, you know, it is our big fundraiser of the year, and it's a live broadcast. I don't know any other television program in the nation that does this, live news talk program in front of an audience as a fundraiser. I think it's really unique.
And if they do it, they certainly don't spend time with the audience like we do.
That's right.
And you're talking about the hour-long show. By the time we do before the show and then we do after the show, I think all of us get in our car and feel like, pretty whooped right now. But it's a good tired. It's a fun evening. And May 8th, I mean,
perfect.
Cross fingers, it'd probably be spectacular weather, and just really looking forward to it.
The energy is really something. It's one of those things that, you know, people always say you have to really be there to feel it, to understand it. But that's exactly how it is. And from the minute you walk into the reception, it's just people are so happy to be there. It is definitely the coming together of all different, you know, municipalities, people who live across the river. It's just it's a great celebration of everything that we love and maybe still don't understand about our hometown, you know. So
it really is. It truly is a community event. It is just as much a part of St. Louis as the Arch, as the Cardinals, as driving on expired tags, right, Charlie?
Well, those are the big traditions in St. Louis.
It's a St. Louis tradition, and we're going to be very excited to bring it to you. But now we're going to take it back to the other studio in Mardia.
That's right. You all heard Wendy say it. The energy in that room at Donnie Bash is absolutely chef's kiss, remarkable. And you don't want to miss that, right? We have an incredible opportunity for you when you become a member of 9 PBS. We get to offer you some wonderful thank you gifts. You know, it's our way of offering our extended hug and appreciation to you. So let me tell you a little bit about what you'll get when you become a member. At the $75 level, you'll receive the mug. It's our 9 PBS birthday mug. It's absolutely amazing. Look at that thing. It's a beauty. I can't wait to drink my hot cocoa out of that every night at the end of a long day with my Christmas tree up. Oh, I love it. So at the $95 level, you'll receive a ticket to Donnie Bash on May 8th at the Sheldon Concert Hall. That's right. All the rave, that show is absolutely amazing. So if you're at home right now and you were like, oh my goodness, I would love to see all of the Donnybrookers live on stage and be able to engage with them at not one but 2 cocktail parties, listen, come on down. So at the $15 a month level, you get a pair of tickets and also that beautiful 9 PBS 70th birthday mug. And let me tell you a little bit about that. We have celebrated, you guessed it, 70 years this year. 70 years at 9 PBS, and we can only continue for 70 more years because of viewers just like yourselves. We read the feedback and we listen to all of your comments about past attendees at Donnybrook, and they love it so much. They call it a community spirit builder. So give us a call or text Gabe at 800-568-9099. But right now, we're going to hop back into the show.
We will see you in May, and thanks so much for your support of 9 PBS. Sarah, I want to ask you about a story that broke today, and that is that there will not be a VP parade this July 4th. The organization that for a long time has run that parade, VP St. Louis, has decided to have some sort of parade, we're not sure where, maybe Del Mar, in October. Big loss for downtown in the city of St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind kind of bummed out. I liked this parade, you know, coming downtown, and it just kind of had this low-key fun to it. High school marching bands, you know, the Francis X Daly in a car, you know. I mean, it was just kind of like a great St. Louis tradition, and I'm bummed about this. You know, I think part of this, what's going on is VP St. Louis is kind of trying to distance themselves from the whole veiled prophet thing, and rightly so. They got a lot of crap over that. But I think the great irony is they're moving their parade to fall. The original VP St. Louis Fair way back in the day, that was in October. I don't see how this helps other than taking away this parade I liked.
They've been trying to distance themselves from the historical issues of the Veiled Prophet organization for 25, 30 years or
Maybe
more.
40.
Yeah. And I just think I'm like you, it makes me sad because we need to, in the same way that we all went downtown and saw the Christmas displays in the windows and that kind of thing, we need to make sure that our children, that we foster a love for downtown St. Louis. And that, I hate to say it, but
Wendy,
between the Cardinals and that actually has been happening for a long, long time. So, I mean, whether it's the Cardinals or it's like the VP parade, as Sarah's saying, you know, this is a part of our history. Let's not, are we sanitizing too much? Or I just keep it downtown
You
where it
do
belongs.
have the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Labor Day Parade,
Well, St. Patrick's
the
Day is not
Veterans Day
exactly
Parade,
child
Pride, right? You got the Pride Parade.
And I don't know how many 4th of July parades there are, so it's
30 or 40.
So it's possible that putting it in October, is that when you said?
Yeah, so Oktoberfest in St. Louis.
It could possibly get more attention.
Yes.
Play up our German heritage instead of the nation's independence.
Well, I mean, I'm Polish, so I would not
So
want to
you would
go to
wanna
that
go.
because they may invade my house.
Right.
But, you know, or Russian would invade my house. But, you know, continue.
Look, I love it, hate it, Percy Green it. It is ours, okay?
Right.
And I feel like we really were something back in the 80s on the 4th of July weekend.
Huge.
I mean, Oprah came here, national. One of the biggest fireworks shows in the nation. It was covered. Let's not give that away. Let's try to reclaim that. Like I said, just call the parade something else. But let's have the parade.
It's hot. It's hot in July.
Oh, it's hot.
So.
Oh, it's too hot.
It's ungodly hot.
It'll probably be hot in October the way.
But I want to say also, there's this thing here. Okay, if I was VP St. Louis, I would say, okay, every chance you get, you criticize me for like historical problems I had nothing to do with, and yet you expect so much out of me. Why don't you put your own parade up? Why doesn't St. Louis Magazine like host some sort of parade?
Well, no, that's what
if
I'm
that's
saying.
so important? And St. Louis American, do it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Let's still have a parade. Doesn't have to be VP. Just leave it all. But let's reclaim the 4th of July for St. Louis.
So the American will be taking the lead with this parade, and I will enthusiastically support you.
I will definitely go to the Fenske parade, and then we'll have Fenske.
But back in the 80s, you had a virtual war between some members of the media, Ray Hartman, and Civic Progress. I mean, that was a constant thing, but nobody said, I'm going to take my toys and go home. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, they're not doing that, but then again, what do they owe you at this point?
Well, I do want to say, in fairness to VP St. Louis, is they are going to do 2 full nights of music and fireworks, and I am really grateful for that. My favorite thing in the world is fireworks.
Because they were down to one.
They were down to one last year.
I criticized that heavily, so I'm still on the same page.
They're back.
And there was a time when the VP celebration on the Arts Grounds had Elton John, Ray Charles.
That's what he's saying. The Beach Boys.
But that's got nothing to do with the parade.
Casey and the Sunshine.
They're coming back to the Arts Grounds, and they're coming back for 2 nights, and I think that's really good. Focus on the positive.
Alvin, it's been reported by the Post-Dispatch, I think it was Blythe Bernard and Josh Renault, that the St. Louis area schools, just on the Missouri side, St. Louis City has lost 6,000 students in the last 4 or 5 years. Combine that with 3,000 from the county and about 872 out of St. Charles County, you're almost talking 11,000, 10,000 students who are no longer in classrooms. Do you think it's because more kids are moving out of town, people aren't having kids, or moms and dads are homeschooling?
I guess it has to be all three, because 11,000 kids aren't getting homeschooled. Most families that live in metropolitan areas aren't homeschooling, okay? And so I also just don't trust that number. I mean, where do these kids go? Where do people just don't evaporate? I really have to see, like, wait a minute, huh? I'm just not buying that number. It may be correct, but I'm not buying that.
I think the number is easily discoverable because the public schools are reimbursed per student, and so they have to make that public information. I think that number is pretty solid.
Okay, but I mean, we still have a sign that says 52,000 people, I think, live in Kirkwood, but I
can't trust that number.
If you catch the wrong sign at the right time, you know, like, these numbers are kind of, I don't know.
There's a pretty significant study that just came out of, I believe, St. Louis University that said the number of kids who are homeschooling in Missouri has gone way up. And I think that's a trend that began during the pandemic. It is accelerating. You see the number of kids in private school is going up slightly. There's some factors that begin to explain part of this.
But then
they don't
that's
account
not
for everybody.
SLPS. And that was the largest numbers.
11,000 is not SLPS. That is across the region. That even includes schools in St. Charles.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Although Ness Sandoval of St. Louis University has also pointed out that in the last sentence, something like census, 1 out of 5 St. Louis kids moved out. So
what was so interesting, a couple points that really jumped out. 2014 was when the really steep decline began. That was the summer of Michael Brown. I don't know if there's any connection with that. The other thing was University City is one of the 8 school districts doing very well and actually performing in terms of population or census with pre-pandemic. They have pre-pandemic numbers, or they're exceeding pre-pandemic numbers. And University City is crediting, their boom to Spanish language courses and a consolidated parental teacher type organization where all these splinter groups have come together and they speak with one voice.
Well, you want to finish?
No,
okay,
you're fine.
I didn't want to interrupt. I make this point all the time, and yes, it personally affects me, but like, I moved out of the city of St. Louis because our doctor told us when our son was diagnosed with a developmental disability that we needed to go to the special school district in St. Louis County. And I actually talked with the president and the vice president about this issue of special education funding for a long time. And they agreed with me, like, this is a problem that a lot of parents in St. Louis City encounter, white, black, Hispanic, whatever. And the solution is not that easy. I think it would have been great like 60 years ago if the city was part of special school districts, so we didn't have this brain drain. But we cannot, we have to have people, and when I say people, political leaders, deal with this problem. Because as long as there is a special school district that has $500 or $600 million to pay special education personnel, they're going to go there. And they're not going to go to SLPS. And the people that can't move are going to suffer.
Jason, very good point. Thank you very much for sharing that. And only because of time, I want to move on to the next subject, and that is Cort VanOstren, who ran against Ann Wagner in 2018 and lost. She was reelected, of course, to her seat in Congress, has been nominated by Dr. Sam Page, the St. Louis County executive, to be the next prosecuting attorney, succeeding Wesley Bell, who, of course, is going to Congress. It's been reported that VanOstren has quit his job with the U.S. Attorney's Office, but the governor wants to appoint the prosecuting attorney. Do you think that VanOstren quit a little bit early?
I assume we'll find out. Like, number one, the judge that is dealing with this case could say that the governor has the right to appoint Bell's replacement. By the way, I talked with the governor today. He has not interviewed VanOstren. He has interviewed 3 people, and VanOstren is not one of them. So there's not going to be this mind meld between Sam Page and Mike Parson here. And also, like, this gets a little convoluted, but like, you got to get past the council. But then if he doesn't get it, like, could Page just make him acting prosecutor until 2026? So I don't know. He has a bunch of hurdles to jump over, but I mean, I like Cort VanOstren. Full disclosure, he lives a block and a half away from me. He's given my kids candy on Halloween. But he is genuinely well-liked by a lot of Democrats, in particular, in St. Louis County.
Okay. I don't think he would resign if he didn't know something. I'm sorry, the man is too intelligent to leave that job behind and its salary to, like, go back to private practice. He wants to be obviously involved in community service politically, and I just don't think he'd quit his job. So I don't know what the fix is, but I think the fix is in.
Boy, you're optimistic. I mean, it made me nervous. I don't like to quit a job till I have the next one lined up. But maybe Alvin's right.
I did it one time. RCGA.
I'm a little concerned that he hasn't served in the prosecutor's office. And at 36 years old, I'd like to see a little more graying of the temples and experience.
No, but we have not had a millennial, like, countywide official in St. Louis County. So I think that would be.
Do we need one?
Yeah.
Is that essential?
I'm the only millennial at this table.
How about credentials and experience?
How about just
He's a
my job is to
Harvard-educated
send
lawyer.
people to jail? I'm going to send people to jail. That's pretty easy.
I mean,
Kim Gardner never
and
got
that's
it,
good
but
because
you don't
he's
have to
going
be a
face those
genius.
questions on the council.
Well, speaking of questions, our question is, will you join us in May? It's Donnie Bash. We hope you do.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again for this wonderful episode of Donnybrook. And I want to take a couple of moments to thank you for, if you are already a member, thank you so much for your support. If you're an avid viewer and watcher, thank you for your visual support. But if you want to take that extra dive and become a member, I want to tell you all about the things that we want to offer to you tonight that correlate with your favorite show, Donnybrook. So let's dive in. At the $75 level, you will receive this lovely 9 PBS mug. That's right, and it's celebrating our 70 years. We turned 70 this year, y'all. I cannot believe it. And that is only because of viewers just like yourselves. That's right. We can only do 70 more years with your support. So that's the $75 level. At the $95 level, we can offer you this amazing ticket to see Donnie Bash live on stage. So if you are loving this episode that you're watching right now, you can imagine yourself live in the audience at the Sheldon Concert Hall on May 8th. It's going to be great weather, fingers crossed. It's at 5:30. You get to attend a cocktail party before and a cocktail party after. And guess who's going to be there? The Donnybrookers. That's right. So at the $15 a month level, you will receive 2 tickets and that lovely mug that I told you about. So you're celebrating 70 years, but you're also going to Donnie Bash. And who would not absolutely love that? So all 3 levels are offered to you when you become a member. Give us a call or text GIVE 800-568-9099 and become a member right now. I wouldn't want you to miss Donnie Bash. It's an absolute lovely time. And you get to hear the conversation much like you're hearing tonight. You get to hear that live in person, and it's going to be amazing. But right now, we are going to go over to the table with my friend Yale and the Donnybrookers.
Thank you, Ern Mardia. We are back at the big table. We've got Charlie, we've got Alvin, we've got Wendy, and we've got Donnie Bash 2025 coming up May 8th, 2025. The great thing about Donnie Bash is that it is multiple events wrapped into one thing. You, of course, are coming to see a live 60-minute version of Donnybrook. But you're also getting the happy hour before, where you have an opportunity to mix and mingle, not only with your fellow Donnybrook enthusiasts, but also the panel. There will also be executives from 9 PBS there. So you get to meet them and get to schmooze with them and talk with them. Then, again, you've got the show itself. And one of the really fun parts about watching a live Donnybrook is that you get to see all of the work that goes in on the production side, all of the work with the producers and with the camera people and with the sound, and seeing how everything kind of fits into place to bring you this show every Thursday night is really very, very cool. And then after the show is over, you get to go and have another opportunity to mix and mingle with everybody at the post-show. There's usually a little dessert buffet, and it's just a really, really good time. And then you also, as part of the show, get the live Q&A. Your opportunity to become a part of the Donnybrook experience. The microphone will be passed back and forth all through the Sheldon, so that if you have questions, comments, any kind of feedback whatsoever, you get to give it right to the Donnybrook crew. So that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff.
Can you go over those one more time?
Absolutely.
One of the most interesting things that happens each year is that, all right, this entire set moves over there.
Yeah.
And there are people who come to the show for the first time who somehow don't think that this set is real. So so you're actually really on the set? And I said yeah. And he said, and they move it over here? And I'm yeah. Right. Now the old one was falling apart. So I think that's one reason we got a new one, because it could only make probably one more trip before it just completely collapsed. But people think that's cool. Yeah, pick the whole thing up and move it.
Did he say the station executives are going to be there?
I think we hope so anyway.
Yeah.
If they don't show up.
I forgot. I got a conflict. I can't make it that night. Sorry. No, and you pointed this out earlier, it's a great holiday gift. It's so difficult to find a gift for people who have everything. What are you going to do, get another tie? But this is an experience, and who knows how long this Donnie Bash will be going on. So
and we're always very surprised by the husbands and wives who exchange. This is the gift that they give each other, which, you think it's nothing more romantic than spending the evening with the Donnybrokers at the Sheldon, but they do it every single year, and that's really fun.
Right. Oh, go ahead, John.
Good point about the crew, because we have an outstanding crew behind the scenes, led by our executive producer and director, Anne-Marie Berger, and many others who put this together. And when you're at Donnie Bash, you can see it behind the scenes.
Yep. Absolutely. You get to see Anne-Marie and how many miles she puts on her feet, going all around the Sheldon, making sure that everything is running smoothly. It's really cool to watch it.
And there's great parking, and it's in May, so the sun will still be up when we're driving home.
That's
which,
right.
for me anyway, is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Or we could have, we're hoping it will be nice and cool, spring-like. It could be 100 degrees. We could have snow, but that's the fun of St. Louis.
That is true. You just never know, and you'll join us on May 8th to find out, and we're going to send it back to the studio.
They mentioned that some of the staff would be there as well. I'll be there. And you know what? We love that time to get to mix and mingle with all of you, get to know some of the people that we get to talk to, like as the member and viewer experience manager. I get to interact with some of you on a daily basis, but it's so nice to see your lovely faces. So, like I said, become a member right now. Give us a call at 800-568-9099. So we've got a couple of lovely gifts that we'd love to offer to you as our thank you. So at the $75 level, you will receive that amazing 9PBS 70th birthday mug. I mean, look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. I use it all of the time. Drink my hot cocoa, coffee, tea out of it. I absolutely adore it, and I would not be lying to you, I promise. So at the $95 level, you'll receive a ticket to see Donnie Bash live at the amazing Sheldon Concert Hall on May 8th at 5:30 p.m. Like Charlie said, the sun will still be out when you drive, and so it's going to be a great summer night. At the $15 a month level, you'll receive 2 tickets and that mug, 2 tickets to see Donnie Bash, so you can treat one of your friends, family members, spouses, whoever you love and adore. Take them to this right now. So give us a call or text GIVE at 800-568-9099. Donnie Bash is an absolutely amazing time. And like I said, we read all of your comments. Someone referred to it as a community spirit builder. We tell your stories, and we love to build that spirit of the community. So right now, we're going to hop back into the rest of the conversation with Donnybrook.
Thanks again for joining us in May and tonight, for that matter. Wendy, I want to ask you about, I thought it was kind of a strange story. A St. Louisan by the name of Michael Roth went to the new cathedral, the Cathedral Basilica on Lindell, and led the congregation in the rosary. But what he had done was left his 9mm gun in his automobile. It was stolen, and because he then reported it to the police, because it was not in a lockbox, which is the local ordinance, he was issued a citation, which was later dropped. But as it turns out, he decided to sue the city of St. Louis. He says that the city cannot regulate handguns. That's either the state or the federal government. What do you think? Does he have a point?
I agree with him. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I was as taken aback, and my jaw actually dropped when I was reading the particulars about how he was inside the Cathedral Basilica at Mass, and then the 9mm gun, the weapon that was on his car seat or wherever it was in his vehicle, and then he was praying the rosary, and then the 9mm gun was taken. But, you know, the two are not, you know, they don't cancel each other out. There are a lot of, you know, responsible gun owners who go to church, who pray for the world. So, I mean, it makes...
But he's not one of them.
It makes great copy. He was not responsible. I do think that as far as the state is concerned, I in my world, the state's gun laws would be paramount or tantamount. Paramount, not tantamount.
There was an oddity of apparently the door was locked by the thieves,
Yeah.
which leads me to believe I don't think the gun was actually stolen there. Here's the thing, that gun is still out there rolling around, and this is not funny if that gun ends up taking somebody's life.
In a crime.
All right, now what do I do then? Can I sue him? I think I would. So,
you know, the CEO of United Healthcare was shot by someone with a 9mm
gun, right.
Not saying there's a connection, but it could have been. The hockey player from high school was shot. It could have been that firearm.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, no, you have to be responsible for your gun if it's stolen, and if that's by statute, if that's by whatever. Somebody has to, you have
He
to be
should have it in a
responsible for
lockbox, but I do think those state...
The city has very few ways of cracking down on guns because of state law and because of, you know, how strongly we feel about this. This was one of the few, and it was a good common sense one. It would be sad to see a lawsuit take this one thing away from us.
Massachusetts has this law in Boston, and if you are found in violation of it, it's a $5,000 penalty and possibly imprisonment.
Yeah.
And this year they've had about 21 homicides in all of Boston in 2024, and their population is about double or triple ours.
Since this is a city ordinance, all they can do is like a few $100 fine, and you can't send anybody to jail.
Here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Alvin, let me ask you about teacher standards. In its wisdom, state officials decided to lower the GPA that a teacher has to have in his or her field of teaching. So if you're teaching physics in Missouri schools, you have to have at least a 2.5 now to teach physics. It was a 3.0. What do you think about lowering these standards?
Well, standards and double standards, because I don't know what it takes technically today. Do you have to, if you major in engineering, in those courses, do you have to have a 3.0 in your engineering courses to graduate? I'm not really sure. I think that my first reaction was this, that if you're going to teach kids in your education classes, especially if you're going to teach math in the courses that you took, you should have a 3.0 GPA. I don't think that's impossible to attain. People like myself were at least really close. So boy, that bothers me.
It's tough because there's like a nationwide teacher shortage, and desperate times call for desperate measures. And also, like, grade point averages do not always like align with being a good teacher.
That's such a great point.
But I would hope this is temporary, and maybe if you get more people, then you raise the standard.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I mean, if you have a 2.5 at Harvard, if they allow you to stay around with the 2.5, obviously that's, you know, better than if you go to West Plains.
I mean, the sad thing is no one at Harvard is getting a 2.5. They apparently just give A's to everybody. But the bigger issue here is that we have this major teacher shortage, to the point that a couple years ago, you know, the Hazelwood schools just had Kelly temp workers in the room, and the teacher was coming in on the screen. A terrible way for the kids to learn. It was awful. And so I would rather have a live teacher who's capable of maintaining order and trying to entertain and getting kids interested than somebody who's like a master teacher.
No, the key is you got to pay these people. They just raised the pay from 25 to 40. That's still way too low. If you want to get the 4.0 kid to teach, give them $85,000 a year, as some school districts do.
Some do.
And I do think that this is going to draw people, and it sounds like they're trying to make it work. They're actively looking at ways within the math and science disciplines. They're trying to make it work and still be, you know, for the children, a very positive thing. But the woman from Desi who was vehemently opposed to it and then said she has come around, that gave me a little hope. But you're right. We don't know what the grade point averages were when we were in school, and the teachers were engaged and the kids were too.
Sarah Fenske, there's a proposal by Dr. Monica Butler, a St. Louisan, to establish what's called the Gospel Hall of Fame and Museum in the old Second Baptist Church on North Kings Highway. She's now partnering with PGAV, which has museums and visitor centers all around the world. They really know what they're doing. Do you think it's going to fly?
I sure hope so. And I think if anybody can pull it off, it's Dr. Monica Butler. I've talked to her. She's such a compelling person. She's so smart and so engaging. And it explains why she's getting these heavy hitters lined up for this project. You know, one of the estimates they had 2 years ago, I think, was that it would cost $22 million. That's not a ton of money. I get that it's crazy that I'm saying that. But really, in the grand scheme of what we want for various attractions and what wealthy donors are willing to pony up for, this is something that seems doable and seems like it could be really cool.
I don't want to be a naysayer. I just $22 million for the old church that it's in North Kings Highway, and I just don't know. This one is just one where, like, it kind of like the teacher grade point average. My initial reaction is like, I don't know. Great idea, but how do you pull this idea off? I don't have an answer to that.
If we can use bobby pins and paper clips, and mirrors are falling off of the trolley, and we all know what that boondoggle has cost the federal government, the local entities, then I say you better believe we need to give this a chance, because this in my opinion, that's just my opinion, but I really do think that this would be a huge draw with the National the Blues Museum. A lot of people have a lot of different interests, and I think that this would be huge, and we're centrally located too.
All right, well, we'll see if it has a prayer. Let's go to the old mailbag and see what viewers had to say about our most recent show. Charlie, regarding the Florissant police officer accused of stealing nude photos from the phones of victims he pulled over, I liken your comment saying the victims shouldn't have nude photos on their phones is like saying a rape victim shouldn't dress provocatively. Shame on you. Thank you, Marcia Spangler of Concord Village. We also heard from Karen Gibbar of St. Louis, Missouri, who wrote, "How dare you tell women or men what to have on their phone? It's not anybody else's phone. As long as it's legal, it is none of your or anyone else's frickin' business." Thank you, Ms. Gibbar. And I understand your query as to why women would have suggestive, that is, nude photos of themselves on their cell phones. I thought the same thing and have found that this is a common happening nowadays. I am of a different era and way of thinking, obviously. Nice to know, though, that I'm not alone in my thinking. Thank you, Cheryl Sitek of Fenton. And we heard from Dana W. Mullins of St. Louis, who wrote, "I am absolutely appalled at Charlie Brennan blaming the victims for having nude selfies in their own phones. He is disgusting." Thank you, Ms. Mullins, and we'd like to hear from you. Write care of 9PBS. Use that zip code 63108. We love those emails. Donnybrook at 9pbs.org. And on social media, use hashtag DonnybrookSTL. Call the 9 line at 314-512-9094. Listen to us on your favorite podcast source. And make sure after this program, go to the 9PBS channel on YouTube, where we'll discuss possible replacements for the departing Jason Hall. Speaking of departing Jasons, Rosenbaum is departing. Thank you so much for joining us on this segment. Really appreciate it.
See you later, Charlie.
And thanks, everybody. But don't go away yet, because we're still asking you to join us in May for Donny Bash.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Thank you so much again for joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed that amazing conversation with Donnybrook just as much as I did. It's never a dull time at that table, right? And you know what? It's never a dull time at Donny Bash either. So that is just one of the many things that we offer when you become a member. So, jump off that fence, dive in, become a member of the 9PBS family, and we will offer you some great, great thank you gifts, because we don't leave you empty-handed. It's our way of saying that we appreciate and love you just as much as you do us. So We'll dive in with this. At the $75 level, you will receive that beautiful mug there. You can drink your hot cocoa. It's the perfect time of year right now. $75 for that 70th birthday mug, 9 PBS. Then at the $95 level, you'll receive a ticket to Donny Bash live at the Sheldon Concert Hall on May 8th, Thursday, May 8th of 2025 at 5:30 p.m. The Sheldon is one of my absolutely favorite places here in town, and we've packed the place full of members just like yourselves, so you do not want to miss this time. But then at the $15 a month sustaining membership level, you'll receive 2 tickets to Donny Bash and the mug. So that is a perfect combo to offer to your friends, your family. Perfect holiday gift, you know, that's coming up, right? So give us a call, 800-568-9099, text us at that number too. And we would love to invite you to Donny Bash. It is so much fun. You get to meet the staff here, you get to meet Donnybrookers. It is a phenomenal time, and we love building those relationships with you. And like I said earlier, there's not one but 2 cocktail parties too. So you get to rub elbows with the stars, mix and mingle with the staff, and we'd love to meet you there. So give us a call or text GIVE at 800-568-9099 right now. Become a member. But right now, we're gonna go over to my friend Yale Hollander and the Donnybrookers.
Okay. I just want to state for the record, Charlie, that I do not find you disgusting.
Well, you're the one.
But everybody is entitled to their opinion, and guess where you can air those opinions? That's right, at Donny Bash 2025, May the 8th, at the spectacular Sheldon Auditorium. Gonna be a great event. Again, a ticket is a great gift for the holiday season. For no season whatsoever, no reason at all other than the fact that it will give you the satisfaction of making a Donnybrook fan very happy, and also the satisfaction of knowing that you are supporting a very important institution in 9 PBS.
That's right. You know, 9 PBS, we were just talking about the quality programming from American Masters, Donnybrook, the BBC, the NewsHour. I mean, and it's all commercial free.
That's right.
So nice.
Yeah, and that's why we're here. So yes, we are raising money, and that is important for all of the things we do here, especially the locally produced programs, not just ours, but Living St. Louis and Classroom 9. And just, you know, there's just throughout the day, you see St. Louis on St. Louis's PBS channel. And I think we're all proud of that, and we're all proud to share that with the audience that night.
And we're all proud to be members of 9 PBS, and that gives you a sense of ownership. I think it's safe to say that when you watch the programming and when you're enjoying the programming, then you do have that, well, at least I didn't sit on my hands. I picked up the phone, I called, and you feel like you are a part of it, and you are.
And when you become a member and get the passport, there's all these programs you can watch when you want to watch them
on demand.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Really
including
is.
some shows that aren't even available, of course, online. There's some French series and others that people might find interesting.
Yeah.
When I first moved back to St. Louis, I filled out the little envelope that was in Channel 9
Didn't
magazine.
you feel like a
and
grown
sent
up?
it about like-
You felt like a grown up. It was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I want to join Channel 9. Right?
I remember
Held
getting
it
my
in,
first
like-
Donnybrook coffee mug when Ann Keefe, when she was on the show, and I felt like, oh, I'm a grown up now.
Ann Keefe, one of the greats.
Yes, indeed.
One of the
There's
greats.
a picture of you all. I think it might have been the first one in 2006. There's a picture of you all out in the hallway, down that one hallway like the photos are. And I said, I think this is the very
I think
first
that was
one.
Donnybrook Full Circle or Donnybrook
be,
something. Yeah, we've done a few of those over
And
the
we
years.
owe a debt of gratitude to those founders.
Oh,
Mark
absolutely.
Dugan, Mark Vittert,
Right.
Mark
of course,
Vittert.
Ray and Bill.
Mr. Coster.
Yeah, Rich
Yeah.
Coster.
Who's the president of the Blues? And I don't know why I'm spacing on his name right
Zimmerman.
now.
Christian Zimmerman. Chris Zimmerman.
Yeah, I think he's still there.
Okay. One of the, Frank Cusimano and I interviewed him, and he said that almost everything that he was proud to say that almost everything that he learned about St. Louis when he was new was because he watched Donnybrook.
Right.
And I just thought that was because we hear that from so many people who move to St. Louis, and they just say what a great primer it is.
Right. Because
You
it
know,
helped me. That,
right.
Like I said, when I moved back, you know.
And you were from here.
Right, I'm from here. But the names of the players, like the Board of Alderman President
Sure.
and things like that, you just picked up on that. But to this day, I will have people come to me and say, like, you know, your program is like really good, because I didn't know like who the players were.
Right.
And I said, like, well, thanks. You know, we do think we're pretty good, but no, they're very sincere and like, no, your show is good because I didn't know this. Like, I didn't know the players, and you guys talk about it all the time. This is people who are younger, and I really feel good. And I said, man, if we're helping you, or you know, young lady, young guy, if you're helping you along with your career by actually having some knowledge, I feel good about that.
There you go.
All right, and you will feel good about it when you see him at Donnie Bash 2025, May 8th at the Sheldon. Back to you, Martia.
I simply cannot stress to you enough how absolutely fun Donnie Bash is. You will not regret it. In fact, like I said, I've been reading some of your comments, and there is not one regret on this piece of paper. So I'm sure if you've heard from your friends or your family, you know, if you're hearing from me and Yale and the Donnybrokers right now, and you're like, that sounds like a really great time. Well, join us on May 8th on 2025. 2025, it's going to be such a great, I can't believe it's next year. Like, that's coming up right around the corner. But become a member right now, and when you become a member, we can give you some fabulous thank you gifts. So at the $75 level, you'll receive that lovely 9PBS birthday mug. I cannot believe 9PBS has been around for 70 years, and it is only because of members and viewers just like yourselves. So if you want to help us to get to 70 more years, you know, become a member right now. Then at the $95 level, you will get that ticket to see Donnie Bash live in person at the Sheldon Concert Hall. It's a great summer night, May 8th, 2025 at 5:30. It'll be a lovely night. At the $15 a month level, you will receive the 2 tickets and that mug. 2 tickets to Donnie Bash and the mug to see Donnie Bash, and also get to celebrate our 70 years here at 9PBS. I can't express to you how much Donnie Bash is amazing, and also how much your valuable support and membership is to us. You are absolutely important to us. So give us a call or text Give 800-568-9099 right now. Don't miss this opportunity. Thank you and have a good night.